That's it for the questions from the fans. Let's get to a couple that you asked your followers. The first one, it being Oklahoma-Nebraska week. I feel like we've got to go to this one first. And you asked, what's your favorite memory of the Oklahoma-Nebraska rivalry? So I'll just tee it up to you first. What's your favorite memory from this rivalry?
2006 Big 12 championship. Oklahoma knocks off Nebraska 21-7. And we get to go to the locker room where we get my favorite memory of Oklahoma and Nebraska's rivalry. That starts with, hey, look, this here. This is the greatest freestyle of all time from Malcolm Kelly. Matter of fact, let me see if I can embarrass myself right quick. Boys getting quiet. Gonna get crunk. Head back to Longview. Kelly popping trunk. I ain't even tripping. Riding and I'm sipping. Let me come through. Fo, steady tipping. On that new lack. Watch that trunk crack. Let me sit sideways. CB run it back. Maybe AP. Maybe AD. I ain't even tripping cuz we some athletes. Messing with Schmitty in the summertime. Hold up. I got it. Messing with Schmitty in the summertime. He get pissed if we don't make a time. My God, I love that. But we gonna get it because we gotta finish. Nebraska Corn Huskers, man, we diminished. I used to have the whole thing memorized, Tyler, because I graduated high school in 2006. So this hit me different. That's my favorite memory because I didn't expect any of that to happen in the post-game locker room celebration.
I was going to say, I'll cut you some slack. This was 2006. If you still remembered it, that'd be pretty impressive. But we did get some good responses. Let's go to the first one. This one comes from Judy. Judy says, not me rushing through my ACT in Dale Tower to make it in time for the second quarter in 2000. Do you remember that one?
Yo, man, I'm 13 at the time, and Judy's just a little bit older than me. I'm sorry, Judy. Judy's also a librarian in the local Oklahoma City area and was one of the first people to point me to what I was doing was a little bit different in that she pointed out to me that folks would show up to the Metro System libraries to watch YouTube videos that I had made about Oklahoma because internet access was so scarce at the time. But I also remember the 2000 game being a turning point for Oklahoma football. Now, to set the stage here, Oklahoma was sorry in the 90s. As a matter of fact, the 90s Nebraska teams that's maybe the best decade for any football team ever, right? We're talking about Tommy Harris. We're talking about Almon Green. We're talking about Lawrence Phillips. We're talking about 3 national championships in like 5 years. I want to say 94, 95, 97, right? And at the time, Oklahoma had gone through Howard Schnellenberger, John Blake, Gary Gibbs. It just wasn't fun. And we expected to get our behinds handed to us as we are taking on one of the best teams in the country. As a matter of fact, it was the first team, I want to say, since like the 1960s to knock off a number 1 and number 2 team in back-to-back weeks. Like Kansas State was number 2 in the country. And we expected Nebraska to hand us our head. And we went down 14-0 and came back and won that game 31-14. Oklahoma fans do not rush the field. It is beneath us. We expect to win. We tore down the damn goalpost for that game because it was such a cathartic experience to say, oh, we really are this good. And that was when it first felt to me like OU was a national championship team. A lot of different things to take away from that season in particular. But I got to say, Nebraska is as pivotal to many Oklahoma's fandoms going back to the 80s, 70s, game of the century. We're in the year 51 of that anniversary. That game in 2000 is such a big deal. And I'm glad that Judy was able to finish the ACT to get back to seeing what is one of the more historic games in Oklahoma history and one of the great games in this rivalry.
Yeah, otherwise I would have questioned Judy's commitment to the program if she was scheduling her ACT on the same day. I'm kidding, Judy. I'm kidding. All right, let's go to the next one. This one comes from Ben Osborne. This by a mile. You can see there. From when OU was my favorite team. All right, RJ, you might have to help me out here. Holloway? Am I saying that right?
Holloway.
All right, my favorite QB and Keith Jackson, my favorite receiver and announcer while we're at it. This play had it all.
So this play that he is talking about is 1986 OU Nebraska. The game is tied at 17. There's 18 seconds left to play. And remember that Barry Switzer, Jim Donnan ran the wishbone. And they had a sophomore quarterback in Jamel Holloway. Remember, Jamel Holloway led Oklahoma to a national championship as a true freshman. The last person to do that since then has been Trevor Lawrence. Keith Jackson is 6'3", 248 pounds and plays tight end. You do not expect that man to get the ball. But as any Oklahoma fan will tell you, this is the best athlete to ever play OU football that nobody talks about anymore. A lot of love to Adrian Peterson, a little bit more, I think, to Kyler Murray. But Keith Jackson is, for the old heads, that dude. So they decided on 3rd and 12 to just say, we're going to throw it up to Keith Jackson because he's going to go make a play. And this man ran down the sideline, pushed off, juked the man, and then had a one-handed grab to extend the drive for OU. And of course, OU ends up having an outstanding season that year. It's an example of an OG Megatron, right? Like, we have this series at Fox that I really enjoy watching called You Kids Just Don't Know that really puts a highlight on players like this. But I am here for Ben bringing that to me because 88 was something different. Matter of fact, one more story about Keith Jackson, and I'm going to throw it back to Tyler on this because it's just, I love telling these stories in particular. Keith Jackson went into Barry Switzer's office and said, Coach, you got to give me the ball. Like, I know I can help us win. And Barry Switzer, to his credit, said, you know what? You damn right. He walked Keith Jackson down to the film room where the coaches were watching film, lights are off, flipped the lights on and said, I don't care how you do it. Get this man the football. So they're getting ready to play Nebraska, and I want to say 1985. And the first play from scrimmage, Jim Donnan calls a reverse to Keith Jackson, a tight end reverse, and that man took it the distance. He rushed for 136 yards on 3 damn carries against Nebraska. That team ends up beating Penn State for the national championship in the Orange Bowl. He's a all-pro in the NFL, and I think he should be an NFL Hall of Famer, but Keith Jackson was that dude. Also, shout out to Ben Osborne, who was my first editor at Fox Sports and been so kind to me. Long live Slam Magazine. Really love that he brought that to our attention, Tyler.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't have a favorite memory from this series. I think the peak of it was a little bit before my time. But as I was prepping for this show and I was doing some research on the rivalry, and I was even watching some highlights after you texted me earlier today, I realized this is the type of matchup that my grandpa Woj, may he rest in peace, he would have absolutely loved this. So I'm sure he had some favorite memories. I wish I could go back and ask him because I remember the last few times I was able to watch football with him. This was about the same time that the spread offense was taking over college football. And let me tell you, he took it as a personal offense when any team ran shotgun within the red zone. I mean, he pretty much got mad every time they ran the shotgun, but he was old school football. He believed in running the ball and stopping the run. And I don't think I've seen him more upset than when a team would go, they'd run the goal line fade or anything like that near the goal line. So when I see these wishbone offenses, the ground and pound style that these teams embodied for decades, I wish I could go back and ask him because I'm sure I could get some great stuff out of him.
Right on, man. No, I'm excited. I love hearing that. If for no other reason than, yes, your grandpa was right because there's something special about wishbone teams. One fact that he probably would raise up is one that I had to be coached on. Did you know that there used to be a tremendous crown on these turf fields where these dudes were like your knees would go out, ACLs were getting blown because it's basically you're running on cement.
Yeah.
But they had like a crown that was like 45 degrees going downhill so that you could better run the wishbone. That's how committed some of these teams used to be to it.
That's so funny. I bet the players were like, hey, why don't we go outside and practice in the parking lot or play in the parking lot because it might be a little bit softer surface over there.
Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.